I often think at this time, at the end of September and beginning of October, as the start of a season in which we begin to think about the kingdom of God, and we're reminded of the fact that the kingdom of God is not just limited to this world, but it's both a natural and a supernatural world. It's bigger than just our limited worlds. And it starts perhaps on September the 29th with the feast called St Michael and all angels, and who knows what angels are. The word angel means messenger, and those who bring us various understandings about God are God's angels. Today, October the 4th, we think about a saint who turned the church upside down, St Francis of Assisi, a fairly obscure man who was fairly limited as a person, who received a call after leading a fairly debauched life. He felt that his life was pretty worthless, and he heard God saying to him, "Rebuild my church," and he took that to mean a little church that had fallen into ruins, the church of St Damiano, and he actually started to build that stone by stone. As we look back over 800 years, we see that in actual fact the church that he rebuilt was not just the little church of St Damiano, but also the whole of Christendom, the whole worldwide church. Francis called the church back to an understanding that we live in harmony with nature, with the other creatures that God has created, and so he's often caricatured as the patron saint of animals. This Sunday we'll have a pet blessing service to celebrate that, to give thanks to the fact that we live in harmony with other creatures. But perhaps chiefly he's seen as the saint, or a person who cared for the poor. St Francis, so the story goes, bore the marks of Christ in his hands and in his side and on his head. The stigmata, this supernatural phenomenon, doesn't sit easily with us in the 21st century. But for St Francis it wasn't something that he gloried in. It was something rather that he understood was part of what it meant to be a Christian. It wasn't about blood pouring out of your hands. It was about sharing the suffering of other people. That as he looked to the cross, he saw that Christians were called to share in the life of the cross too, and that sharing in the life of the cross meant that you have to bear other people's sufferings. The people who suffered in his society were the poor, the marginalised, those who nobody took any notice of, the disfigured, the sick. So one of his major focus was people with leprosy, the outcasts of society. In that way, Francis called the church back to a radical understanding of what it meant to follow Jesus.